Hello, my friends. How are you? Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. It's actually felt like spring here today. It was really exciting. Sun was shining. It wasn't freezing. Although if this was the temperature in August, I would have been putting a coat on. But end of February in Vermont, and it's in the 50s, and you can have the sunroof open. It's kind of a cool day. So we were excited. Well, I was excited. I was by myself, but I was still excited. So I hope you are ready to try some cards with me tonight. This has been the past week and a half, I think. There's a class running called A Month of Joy. And every day I'm releasing a new card SVG that will fit and you can make with a Cricut Joy. I am such a huge fan of the Little Joy. I really am. I just love that it it cuts really fast. It's super simple. It doesn't take up a lot of space. My maker's over here too. I still like that. But I love the joy from making cards or embellishments or titles. It's just great because it loads really fast. It cuts out what you need and you move on. There's not much waste because you've cut down your paper. I love it. So anyway, we are making cards every day and I've been sharing them with you, but today I'm sharing an SVG as well. So if you go to karamiller.com, which you will see right there, and you click on Simple SVG Shop, click on that, and then scroll down and you will see all the SVGs that are available, but this is the one we're going to use tonight. And this will be in, it'll be on my YouTube channel as well, so you can come back and watch it later. It's here on Facebook, but they're really hard to find later. They just are. So you add it to the bag. You will get a link to download the SVG. The cool thing about my SVGs is they don't, well, I think it's cool. They don't have to be unzipped. You don't have to work with them. You don't have to, they're just ready to go. You don't have to do anything. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to go into Design Space, right? Open it all up. Make sure you're in here. And you're going to say upload. And you're going to upload the SVG right here and save it. And then it will look like this when you get it in here. This is the one we're working on. I'm going to show you the actual card in a minute. Hey, Susan. And then we're going to do some manipulating to make this be what we want it to be. Okay? That's the beauty of these. Hi, Nicole. That's the beauty of using SVGs with your stamps, without your stamps, whatever. You can use a different Cricut. You can use an Explorer or a Maker. It doesn't matter. It has to be able to connect to Design Space. It can't be one of the older cartridge-based ones. But I just love the ease of using the Joy. I love how tiny it is and how simple things are to work with. It's itty bitty. You just fold it up and move it over here when you're done. This is the same SVG, and I made 3 different looks. This one is designed for you to add a photo of maybe the baby. This is a Congratulations for a Baby card. I love this stamp set. This one's called Sweet and Precious, and it's these moms with their babies, and I just loved it. And I thought, ooh, cool, I'm gonna use that. But it didn't really fit. The whole image was bigger than the space I have. This is the ready to stamp space, but it was, these little people were a little bit bigger. So I used part of the stamp, and I'll show you that. And then I left this space, and I could slide a photo in there if I wanted, or I can just leave it plain. There's one option. Congratulations, Cricut did the writing, and we're going to see how to do that. This one, same SVG. I didn't put anything back here because I wanted this to stand up. I just did a white background. And instead of a picture, I stamped the mama and baby in there. I wanted to use the sentiment, bring on the cuddles, from that stamp set. but it was really too big. No matter, I did it on this one, on the inside. That was one way to do it, but I kind of wanted it on the front. So I stamped it on a strip and cut it and added that to here. Okay. All right, so let's see what else we can do with this same SVG in Design Space. Oh, this was the other one. I used that sentiment that I really liked, but I let Cricut do the writing, and Cricut wrote that. And I'm going to show you how to do that too. Okay? All right, so let's head into Design Space and hang around in there for a little bit. So we are in Design Space. I'm going to take the website off. It's really easy. It's just karamiller.com. You will find it. When you bring it in, I don't know why that just turned black, but we'll be okay. Cricut, you're fine. You can handle it. Whew, it got really flustered there for a minute. When it comes in, it's all grouped together. Okay? It's also got this text down here that is different. What I've taken to doing is sometimes you have to do a little something something to the SVG. Design Space is a little tricky. In order to do some of the bonuses that Design Space allows us to do, like write and score, SVGs don't know that. SVGs come in and they all want to cut. Every layer is going to be a cut layer. That's just how it is. So we have to tell Cricut if we want to do something different. So what I've started doing is putting a little note in my SVG, and I'm labeling it guide. What that means is I want you to click on this and ungroup. So everything is ungrouped now. I want you to click on this layer and see where it says guide. I want you to come up here, and instead of cutting it, because I don't need you to cut this or anything, it's just information I think would be helpful to working with this SVG. I want you to click on this down arrow and change it to guide. Now, what that does is it's still here. It's still part of the SVG. You can see it over here in the layers panel, but Cricut's not going to do anything with it. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to write it. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to sit there so that you can come back and read it. So what it tells you to do, this is the quick version, ungroup, change the text layer to a write layer. This is the text layer, the congratulations right here. So the first thing was ungroup. Take the, now, select the text layer and change that to a write layer. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to tell Cricut, draw that, write it with a pen. Now I need to tell Cricut, where do I want you to write? Because if I don't do anything, watch what happens when I send it over here. Cricut's just going to write on my mat because I didn't tell it where to write. That's not what I want. So what you see is what you get. I want you to write right there on that white frame. So I'm going to select the white frame, hold down my shift and select that draw layer and tell Cricut to attach. That tells Cricut, whoops, I did that wrong. I'm so sorry. It's this draw layer and this and attach. Okay. It's telling Cricut, I want you to write on that white layer. So now when I say make, Cricut comes over here and the white layer now is a pen and a cut, and Cricut's going to write right there. All right? Cool, huh? Okay, so come on back for a minute. I want to show you two things at once. When I create these cards, and I don't know why we're having such a dark spot right where I want you to see. I have a shadow. No shadows. Come on, move over there. Does that work better? This light and I are just not getting along today. Oh, that's worse. Come on over here. Are you okay now? You're a little better now. Okay. So when I make these cards, I start with a card base. Now to get your card base, you're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, just a regular that you get in the package. I'm going to use a different color so you can see it. Just a regular piece of 8.5 by 11, okay? I also use my trimmer to cut things that are just easier to cut with a trimmer. If I just need a straight line, it's way easier to cut that. If I were to take this and put it in a full-size Cricut mat, a 12 by 12, and cut this 8.5, this piece that I need here, which is 5.5 by 11. If I were to cut that, this is how it's going to cut. This is going to be wasted. This is going to be wasted. Cricut can't cut all the way to the edge. So for me, it's just much easier to take that 8.5 by 11, take my handy dandy trimmer, and cut this at 5.5. Simple cut. Now I have my card base. I take my 8.5 by 11, cut it in half, and I'm going to score it at 4.25. The Stampin' Up! Trimmer has a cut and a score. It's so handy. And that just gives it a nice little mark so I get the kind of paper that I want. The other thing I do with my trimmer, before I even start with my Cricut, because I'm using the Joy, I'm going to take my Designer Series paper, my 12 by 12, and I'm going to trim it into 4-inch strips and then cut it across at 6. I did this with the Sunny Days pack. That's what this one is. And I've been making cards all week, 10 days, and I still have all this left. Like, there's a lot of paper when you do that. You end up with a ton, right? And they're all just the right size. They fit right on the Cricut Joy mat. Easy peasy. I'm a light blue mat every single day. I love light blue mats from my Cricut. As a paper crafter, it's a better choice. However, with the Cricut Joy, the light blue mat gets unsticky really fast. And the reason for that is it's a small mat and you're using almost all of it every single time. How much do you really use on your big mat? You tend to use this corner. You flip the mat and you use this corner. That tends to be how it goes. When you're doing, if you can look at any of this, you can see that I use almost the whole mat. I don't know if this shows for you guys, but you can see there's cut marks over here and here and here. The mats go quick, they do, but they're not that expensive. I also don't buy name brand mats. They're on Amazon. I will make sure the links are here. They're in the class too, but I'll put the links out in the after this Facebook Live is done and on YouTube so that you can find them. So, but just so that you can see, look, it fits perfect on here, right? I don't have to do anything. I just grab my pile, stick it on, I'm ready to go. So what I like to do before I get going with my card is look at my papers and figure out, and I had these picked, but now I moved these and now they're gone. Pick out what colors you want to use. I literally had these put aside. Where did they go? Oh, they're right here. Shoot, builders. If you watch me more than once, you'll notice that I usually put things on top of each other. They're probably stuck in the bottom of my trimmer if I can't find it. I did the same thing with my 8.5 by 11 cardstock that coordinates, because that's why I love Stampin' Up. It tells you what colors I need. Pool Party, Poppy Parade, Shaded Spruce. So we are using Shaded Spruce and Poppy Parade for this one. And I like these little cherries. I think they're really cute. And then I've got some white, some basic white. Here is my card base, ready to go. Now look here look in Design Space, and you can see that the card was originally designed to go this way. Well, if I do that, my cherries are going to be going sideways. And I don't want that. So I'm going to switch my card, and we're going to go this way now. We can. The problem is our Congratulations is going to be the wrong way, right? All right, let me show you another trick that we're going to do because I really want to use this paper. I could pick a different paper and then I wouldn't have to. But I want to show you today how you can make this work for you. First of all, when you're looking, let's look at the layers over here for a second. And one of the layers in all these card SVGs is this one. That's the base that goes on the bottom of the card. Let's look over here. We ungrouped this so we can move these things apart and you can see what it is we're dealing with. These are the parts of this card. This is the one that I want to do out of this paper, but it really doesn't go. Well, then I'm going to have to make it work because I'm in charge, not Cricut or paper. So it's got to go this way in order to look good. And so let's rotate that. You can rotate things a couple of different ways. You can grab the arrow and turn it 90 degrees. Come on, come on, come on. You can do it. Or you can just type in here what you want. That's the way I want that card to go. I am going to cut this at 5 1/4 by 4. And that's going to give me the front I want for my card right here, like this, right? Perfect. Okay, I'm going to glue that down right now because as I told you, I tend to lose things because I get busy. So I'm going to put this down with my Stampin' Seal on the front of my card. Okay. Step 1. Haven't even brought out the Cricut yet. Now, what am I going to do? Because if I have my card looking this way and my congratulations is going this way, it's going to look really funky. All right, so let's go back into here. I'm going to take it off of this for a second and just bring this bigger so that you can see it really well. This is the way I want congratulations to go on the front of the card, right? All right, well, can that work? So let's bring you in here and you think, oh, it really can't. It's too long. See, it's going to, this little tail's going to hang off. All right, so I'm going to move you because that's already done. I already cut that. It's already committed. It's glued to the front of the card. I'm going to turn you off. I don't need to look at you anymore. I know what we're doing. I'm going to bring you back in the front. I'm going to put everything back together, okay? Get it all back together the way it's supposed to go. Make sure everybody's where they belong. Select everybody, and I'm going to group it. Because what I'm going to do now is change its size. And I don't want to change the size if everybody isn't playing nice. Turn you back on for a second. Bring you here. And now I need to make this fit on there, right? So I'm going to shrink this down a little. Okay, we're good. And put that right there. That looks pretty good. Now it's going to be a little smaller, but that's okay. I'm in charge. So now I'm going to turn you off and I'm going to tell Cricut, go ahead and make it. And it's going to send it on over there. Now, if I didn't want to make it smaller and I wanted it that size, well, then I'd have to find a different background paper. So the first load of the mat is what I like to call the back of the puzzle piece. This is the piece that tells you where to position everything on your card. In my situation, oops, hold on. I need to bring you back to real paper again. In my situation, I decided I want this shaded spruce to be that shadow. Okay. Next is my white layer. Okay, that's right here. But notice it wants a pen and a cut. Another little item I want to show you. Cricut pens for the Joy are different than Cricut pens for the other machines. The other machines, these are the two different pens. This is for a standard Cricut. This is for the Cricut Maker. It's shorter and fatter because its blade is different. This pack I purchased from Amazon. I'll put the link below. And I love it because it's a fine point on one and a fatter point on the other. when I want to write with my Cricut, I want to make sure that I'm using a writing font. We'll get to that in a minute. Right now, we're just going to do the congratulations, which came with the SVG. And I used a single line font when I created the SVG so that you didn't have to do anything when you got it here in Design Space. So I'm going to use the skinny end when it comes to that. Then I have the little swirly decoration, and I'm going to use the Poppy Parade for that. All right. So let's go back to the beginning. This is the one. Whatever you're clicked on is what the joy is going to cut. Okay? I say this a lot, but what you see is what you get. If it looks funky on the screen, it's going to look funky when Cricut gets done cutting it. She's not going to surprise you. She is going to give you what you see. All right, I said I wanted shaded spruce. I want to make sure I have it on here. Now, one more thing that I do, if the mat is really sticky, we're all good. But sometimes I've used it a little bit and I'm a little questionable. I'll take the little squeegee and I'll just kind of squeegee this down. Make sure I have a good seal on that. I'm going to tell Cricut to continue in Design Space. It's connecting to my Joy by Bluetooth. And then these are my bookmark favorites. I use medium cardstock for all my Stampin' Up material. I'm going to tell it remember that because I'm using all Stampin' Up paper. And it tells me to make sure I have a blade loaded and go ahead and load the mat. So I'm going to send this in. The Joy grabs it. Make sure that it's lined up. And it's ready to go. Honestly, isn't that quick? I love how fast it is. And then it's going to go ahead and cut it out. That first layer. And we'll watch. It's not going to take it that long. And I don't usually do that in the video and make you watch it, but I want you to see that it really doesn't take that long. And why I love this little machine. It's all done. It's going to come up and say unload. I'm not touching the machine at all. There's no buttons on the machine. It's all done through the software. Now, if I often will create my project on my laptop because I have old eyes and I find that my phone is really tiny or even my iPad is tiny. I like to have a keyboard and a touchpad and all those things. That's me. But I will often cut it using my app on either my iPad or my phone. Both of those things work really well. So then I'm going to take this off. And remember, you want to take generally the mat off the paper, not the paper off the mat. Sometimes with the Joy, though, it's a small piece and you can kind of pick at it and kind of just lift it up ever so a little bit. Don't just peel it off and make it curl. So you kind of do that and get it picked up. That's going to go on here. And then this is extra. This is what I was saying about not wasting a lot of paper. Now, if I had cut this on a full sheet on my big mat, I would have had a lot more waste than this. I can trim this down and use this piece again. And I do. The next thing it wants is the white layer. Okay, I'm going to tell you on the white layer when Cricut, remember Cricut cuts by color. So when she puts a couple things on one layer, make sure that your piece of paper is long enough. And it's not going to cut off the bottom. All right, but it's loading, making sure my paper's okay, and it is, but also know it wants me to load the pen. It thinks I did. Now, I didn't do it yet, so that tells me it doesn't know. It's not that smart. I'm going to open this up. Diane, I don't usually do it because I use the thick already. The question was thick basic white. I would probably add more pressure if I were cutting the thick basic white. This is regular basic white. I use the thick for the base, but I use my trimmer to cut my base, so I don't usually use it on here. But yes, I would just add pressure. If it doesn't cut through, and again, that is going to change depending on how much you've cut. So just like the mats don't last quite as long, I'm not sure the blades last quite as long as the ones for the maker. But again, they're not as expensive. And if you see the setting that you've always used suddenly doesn't work, it's probably the blade. This works for my joy. Some people it doesn't. There is a little magnet right here that's supposed to hold that blade. Some of you tell me that doesn't work. It works for me. So just, I don't lose my blade while I'm changing it. I'm going to take the tip off the pen, drop the pen down in, lock it in, and let it go to work. I'm going to tell Cricut, go ahead, and it's going to write. And truthfully, this is my favorite part of the whole Cricut experience, is watching it write. It doesn't write like any way you've ever thought it should do. Like it starts with the T. I don't know why it writes the way it does. It doesn't like write flowingly, it just writes. But it's doing it. And it's so neat and so clean. And it really doesn't take that long. It does if you're writing a whole novel or you're writing like a wedding invitation. Holy moly, that takes a long time. But it works. You can. I've addressed wedding invites with the Cricut before. All right, so it's done. And now it tells me to take that out. First thing you're going to do is put the cap back on before you move on. And then put you back in there. Close her up. And come over to the screen and tell her, go ahead. And she's going to go ahead now and cut what she just wrote. Now this is a little bit smaller than my other card that my sample, because remember I shrunk it down a little. So we'll have to see what we can do with it to get our stamp on. We might not be able to. And we're going to unload. And take off this extra. Flip it over. There's our circle. And then this one is our frame, and it's really delicate. Okay. Save this piece. If you look at this one, that's what I stamped on. I stamped it on that piece right there. So save that. And then last but not least is the Poppy Parade. It's going to give us that little swoosh. The invites are amazing, but they take a bit, so start early. And have extra pens, because you will be surprised that you will run out on your pen. And say go. And it's going to go ahead and cut that last piece out. I want to go back in before we put this together and show you one more thing. Okay, so we're all good, right? Everything got done. We've unloaded. And now I'm noticing that, oh boy, that's really tiny. I don't know if my stamp's going to fit on there. I'm probably not going to be able to get any kind of sentiment that I wanted. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to let Cricut do the work again. So let me bring you back to just this for a minute. So I'm going to say done for now. And I'm going to go back in here. And this time, the only piece I want to worry about, we're going to ungroup. The only thing I want to worry about is this little white circle. That's what I wanted my stamp on. And maybe this piece too, this piece that it cut out there. I might save that for a minute to help me with sizing. You, I'm going to turn off, and you, I'm going to turn off in this guide so I don't get distracted. So these are the two things I'm working with. All right. What if I wanted something like let the cuddles begin, and I want it on here? okay, I can do that with the Cricut because there's no way I'm going to get that stamp set to fit on there. I'm going to go to text, and it always defaults to a cut, but I know I want to make this look like I wrote it. So I'm going to come up here to cut, and I'm going to change it to pen, and see what it looks like right now. If that, it would still write it. It would write it with a pen, but it's going to look like 2 lines. It's not going to look like that. So click on it. I'm going to come up here to font. I'm going to go into filter. I did this before. And I'm going to choose writing. Now Cricut's going to look through all of its font choices. I do that every time I click off it and I don't want to. It's going to look through all of its font choices and find one that will do the writing. I picked this one, this apple cider one before. And you can see there's the word text. Well, that's not what I wanted. So I want bring on the cuddles. I don't know where that R came from in my brain. Bring on the cuddles. Okay. Well, that's cool, but that's way bigger than that. Just shrink this down. Slide it up here till it fits on that circle. Right? All right, now the trick here, I want to make sure it's in the middle. If I just group that together, that's not really going to work very well. The letters are going to kind of funkily do weird things. I don't really want to weld it. That's not an option. It is a Stampin' Up saying. It came from that stamp set. I love it. It just does, it's not the right size for me. So we're gonna scrap lift it and use that again on our own card. So here's my text. I'm going to come down here and say attach. It's not attaching to anything yet. It's just attaching to itself. It's still just here, but all the letters are where they belong. They're all going to stay together. I'm then going to select the circle and the words, and I'm going to say align and center. Now I'm going to attach the words to the circle, and now I'm good. This will now cut out and fit right here. But that's all I really need. I don't need anything else. So I'm going to come back to this one. I'm going to turn you off, and I'm going to just do that one thing that I need. I'm going to send that over, and I'm going to take my mat, and I'm going to take, this is my leftover paper. Had I thought of this in the first place, I could have done it the first time, but I didn't think of it. Well, I did, but generally you probably didn't. I'm going to put this down, make sure I have it good and stuck. I'm going to load her in. Whoops, say continue. If she won't take it, then your software hasn't progressed far enough. Continue. It will only take it when it's ready. You can't force feed a joy. I'm going to choose medium. Wants me to load my pen. I could do this in a different color too. I don't have to do it the same, but we're going to stick with the same color for now. Pop it in there. Load this in. So what it's going to do is it's going to write that cute little saying. And then it will cut the circle around it. And then I can put my card together. Again, it's writing really weird. It writes it in its own fashion. If I was a kindergarten teacher, I would not be happy with the way my student was writing, but it comes out okay in the end. But it's definitely not left to right. And yes, the kindergarten teacher in me is twitching, but it's okay. And there's tons of other things I could have done. I could have let her do some writing. I could have let her draw something on there, not used it for a sentiment. I could have done anything I want that a pen can do. Attach and weld. That's a really great question, Diane. Weld works for cut images. It won't work for this, for a writing image, because there's nothing to weld. So that's why we attached in this place. Attach has it cut on top of whatever you put it attached to. They're both going to cut. Or it's telling Cricut where to write. Those are the two things. Weld is going to take the two shapes and put them together and make them one. This doesn't make it one shape. It just tells it. So if this was still cut and I said attach, it would have cut on top of that circle. And now we're done. Okay, let's get rid of that and come back to you. Take you off. And now we can put little Miss Joy away. Of course, anytime. Move you over there. Now we can start to put our card together. So we have our card base ready to go. We have this. And this. Now, do you think we could stamp our mama orangutan on here? I don't know if we can. I don't know if it's big enough. I'm going to look at this and see what would I get if I stamped. I think I could get mama and baby. I think I could. All right, so it's going to go this way. And I'm going to try to get as much of mommy and baby as I can. We're going to see what we get. No, I don't remember that one. The baby bug? The very first one? It was quick. That was a 6x12 mat. And it is fast because it doesn't have to load the whole big thing, right? I'm going to put something down so I don't get this all over. All right, let's see what we're going to get. We want as much of her this way. Let's see what we got. Surprise. Oh, she's cool. All right, so now, come back here. This is going to go, and I don't want to lose mama. So I'm going to go kind of like that and slide that in that way. And then I'm going to get rid of this thing because it's got black ink on it and it will get all over my work. That's how I'm going to slide her in there. I'm going to adhesive back here. And pop that right in the middle. Okay, now this goes next. Literally, this card looks like you spent months doing this one, and you didn't. You could do this. You could do more than one of these. That goes like that. I'm going to use my dimensionals on the back. So this kind of pops up a little. And I don't really want to cover mom up. It should go like that, but that covers her face. So I'm just going to kind of move you up there. Use a little bit of my creative license. And then this one, make sure that you have it on the right side. So check it, because the swirl can go either way. And then add your your seal. Whoopsie. Right here. And there we go. Right? Isn't that adorable? I love it. And then I could take my my blends and I could color in. I could add a little color to my leaves if I wanted and really fluff this up. Totally different looking, but we use the same sentiment, the same cards, and they really do look different. Same SVG, but I made it say what I wanted it to say. And truthfully, I like this one the best of all. All right. All right, so go download the free SVG. You're just going to go to karamiller.com and download the free one. If you're already in the month of joy, it's in the classroom for you already. So don't worry. It says bonus in the classroom because it wasn't today's. It was an extra added on. So you got 2 today, actually. And if you feel like this is like, I really like this size card and you want 30 of these, hop on over to the classroom and check it out. When you go to karamiller.com, you'll see where it says classroom at the top, the Let's Learn Classroom. You click on that and it will bring you here. And this is what I'm talking about with the month of joy. And all those cards and all those SVGs are in there. Oh, I'm not showing you a darn thing right now. That's the classroom. Yes, ma'am. Diane's typing. Then if you really feel like Design Space is just not for you, or you don't know, it's not doing what you want, this is really great to get you started, or is a good refresher. All of the cards in this, I used this same paper pack, the Sunny Days, which is free only till the end of this month though. But Sunny Days is one of the celebration kits. So the bunny used, I don't know if I have any of that left because I love it. Where's my bunny card? He's over here. These are the cards from the month of joy. And the bunny, oh, here's our bunny. So he's using this one. And then he's using that blue stripe, and then the cloud, and then pool party for the rest. All right. And I think there's a video with him, and I think I show you in there, but I'm not positive, Diane. It's in the classroom. All right, everybody, have a great week. And let me see your cards. Post them on up. I can't wait to see what they look like. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.